Today I'm going to be interviewing Sushil Dahiya. He was a very, very good friend of my brother's. I say was because my brother's no more. And I've known him a very, very long time. And I was delighted when I went on the sets of Zoya Akhtar's Made in Heaven. I was in the first 2 episodes of the season 1 to see that Sushil was also there, and he was also part of all the scenes that I was in, and it was very nice to meet him again. He's been acting for a long time, and I'm delighted to be interviewing him again. I miss my brother very much, and he's part of that history. So I'm very, very glad to be interviewing him today. So without much ado, I'm going to get him on. Without much ado. Sorry, the language is going totally haywire today. So yes, so for the Cope with Hope interview today, I'm getting Sushil Dahiya on. Oh, for some reason, yeah. Waiting for him to join. I hope you're all doing well.
There we are.
Yes. Hi, Sushil.
Hi, Nandinii ji. How are you?
I'm absolutely fine. And how are you?
Oh, very excited to be here, actually.
Yes,
And
I'm very thrilled that you said yes to me.
thank you so much for inviting me on board, because it was in fact for me a fantastic moment that day, that afternoon, on the sets of Made in Heaven. And I was all dressed up like a Sardarji. And I I yelled out to you and I said, "Hi, Nandinii." And you said, "Who are you?"
Who are you?
Obviously, because I had all this beard and everything and a Sardarji look.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, "Sushil." And he said, "Sushil who?" I said, "Dahiya." So you said, "So say Dahiya, na? Why are you saying Sushil?"
Yeah, because that's how I knew him.
Yeah.
Nikhil, my brother, and all his friends would call him Dahiya, and I knew Dahiya. I didn't know the Sushil, and that too with the Sardarji get-up. So yeah, please
It
forgive
was
me.
fun. Not at all, not at all. I was so excited to see you. I said, "Oh my God, a familiar face."
Yeah, it was lovely. And he was such a darling. On the second day, we were shooting in a Gurdwara, and I have a problem with my legs. And he looked after me so well, just like any darling younger brother would do. So thank you so
Always
much.
there. Not at all, not
Yeah.
at all.
Okay, so let's just get right into the interview.
Okay.
Firstly, tell me, for these little over 50 days, what have you been doing briefly? Because then I want to get into other
Oh,
more delicious things.
essentially, I'm getting used to staying at home.
Yes,
And what used to be, I think I've done a little bit of a journey with myself during these 50 days. What
yes.
used to be helping my wife have now re-identified themselves as chores I need to do. And so that little step up has happened.
Yes,
And I don't mind now washing my
yes.
own clothes and cleaning my room and stuff like that.
Good.
So that little development has happened. And
A
also,
plus.
yes, I've also discovered a lot of things, and especially with my relationships with my dad, who's 87 years old. And so that's a development. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good. And I'm glad you're going to be helping your wife. And will you continue this after the lockdown
Yeah, only now
is
we don't
lifted?
call it helping my wife. It's now called
Chores.
doing my share of the chores.
I totally agree and I love it. Okay, that's excellent. All right. Any skills or anything that you feel has helped you through this time and kept you in balance? Because look, this is a tough time, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Whether we like to believe it or not, everybody is going through stress. Nobody likes to be locked into their homes for so many days. So everybody is doing the best that they can. So what has helped you do the best that you can?
Well, I've been associated with a spiritual fellowship for, I think now about 40 years.
Yes.
And that sort of revolves around being able to take care of oneself
Okay.
through one's own experiences and through the
Okay.
interconnectedness of the others in your
Yes.
environment.
Yes.
And even though the environment was largely reduced to just 4 people and a dog in the house,
Yes.
I was able to more or less spend the last 50 days on even keel
Okay.
without really losing it, as it were.
Yes.
And what did help was there was lots of stuff to be done, which
Yes.
had been, sort of
Yeah.
being postponed. So that
Yes.
helped a lot.
Yeah. That's amazing. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a psychologist the other day for Cope with Hope, and she said one of the very, very important things is self-compassion at this time. Connectivity, yes, like connect with people, connect with your friends. We have Zoom, we have internet, we have our mobile phones and normal phones. And self-compassion is a huge, huge one that we all need to have mega loads of. And then, of course, compassion for the other, because
Absolutely.
everybody is going through stuff and everybody is going through different ways of dealing with it and different opinions about it. If you talk to
Sure,
somebody,
sure.
yesterday they had something else, today they think something else. And even yourself, today you may wake up in the morning and strongly believe something about what's happening with a lockdown or something that's been offered to us by the government. And by the evening, you could change your mind because it's such a compressed situation. So this
Absolutely.
is very lovely to hear that you have a spiritual path that you're
Yeah, it's
on
sort
and
of a
it's
journey.
helped you.
I did go through that business of saying, "Oh, what's happening?
Yes,
What is this? What do I have to go
yes,
through?"
yes,
And then through other media, the television and stuff, you come to know about circumstances of other people
yes,
who perhaps, and visibly so,
yes,
were worse off,
yeah. That's
and, and,
very
and,
sad to see.
and the empathy or the empathy that kind of comes with that,
Yes,
and a certain element of guilt.
yes,
And then the self-forgiveness and the self-discovery and saying,
yes,
I have a place in this universe and I shall fulfill my role
yes,
in my place in this universe.
yeah,
And that meant, to begin with, not getting so hung up about this whole thing.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. And to begin with, not getting so hung up about this thing, because we have lots to be grateful for and lots that we can
Absolutely.
smile about. And yeah,
Absolutely.
that's very well put. Okay, tell me a little bit about your film journey and which is your
Oh,
favorite film till date?
oh, well, there are two sets of experiences with my films. One
Yes,
is the film itself and my part in it.
yes,
And if you have been through my little IMDb setup,
yes.
and you'll know that I have only done what my family likes to refer as bits and pieces parts, and I
Like
call
me.
myself we are all there,
Yeah,
as in life, and
yes,
like a fringe sort of a person, but a necessary
yes,
character without whom you can't do the film.
yes, yes,
My journey in the film has been one of learning, first learning to be calm and deliver the character as best as I can
yes,
with the direction of the director,
yes,
and not being afraid to put my own interpretations
yes,
into
yes.
the character.
Character.
And then also it's been a journey of acceptance.
Yes,
When I first walked onto a stage, I was very fortunate. I walked onto a very nice set, which was a television program, the first time I actually
work. Okay.
faced a camera.
Yes,
Way back, it was a BBC World Service production, and there
lovely.
they tend to take care of you very well. And then from there, I went to other productions where, where I had to share the fan with 5 other guys and all sorts of things. So
Yeah,
I went from, hey, what's going on, to it's all right.
yeah,
I'm not here to sit in a fancy van. I'm not here to be
yes,
served tea by a guy ahead of the other guys. I'm here
yes,
to act.
To work,
And I'm
yes,
here to
absolutely.
deliver as best as I can, to work. And that
Helped
acceptance,
you.
the journey of acceptance has gone a long way. Uh, I'd have to toss up between my very first film I started shooting for, No One Killed Jessica,
Yes.
and then Pink, because of the wonderful little part that I had in it, and then to Thappad, which is a recent production.
So will you talk
All
about
three.
Thappad? Will you first talk about Thappad to us? Since
Sure,
it's the
sure.
most recent.
Yeah, for me, Thappad was, it was the first film where I got the whole script to begin with, not only the
Okay.
sides. So I was able to go through the whole script even before I went on the set.
And did this
And
help you? Did it help
absolutely,
you?
because, oh yes, it helped me immensely because I was able to know, the entire theme of the whole storyline.
Yeah.
And while the experience was going on, both the reading and the acting and the rehearsing and everything that's going on, and also the observing, I found that in some aspects, and I'm being candid and honest there at the cost of
Yes.
sounding very maudlin, but in certain aspects, I was reliving my life. And I'd seen this, I've experienced this all my childhood. And some said to me earlier in life that I'd been sent to boarding school because of unfortunate circumstances at home.
Yes.
And I said, oh, wow, this one little, uh, uh, what was conceived to be a little slap by most people,
Yes.
in fact encompasses a whole life of
Yes.
acceptance by by my sisters, by my mother, by my aunts, and by people I see around me, and all this business of normalizing patriarchy in a way
Yeah.
that it's in fact promoted by the female gender in most instances, and that is the pathos of it all. Uh, one particular, I was watching a review of this movie somewhere, and the guy who was reviewing it said, "Oh, we shouldn't. Oh, the mother-in-law is fine." The other guy says, "Oh, you get to become better off in the family once you're a mother-in-law, not while
Why?
you're a daughter-in-law."
Oh,
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. So
yeah.
I jumped up and I said, "Why?" And they said,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Why?
because the mother-in-law has done the journey
Oh
and,
my God.
so to say, run the gauntlet and survived and built enough respect through her sacrifices, through her acceptance, through her tolerance, through the whole journey that unfortunately ladies have to go through, especially in the Indian context, uh, and then arrive at a point of respectability.
It's
And
so
then,
shameful.
very
It's so
unfortunate, yeah,
shameful.
it's very shameful. It's very
Yeah.
shameful. The patriarchy is worse enough, but elderly or senior women helping patriarchy is worse. I don't know if
It's
I'm really
really,
putting my
you're allowed
foot
to
in
say
my
what you
mouth
want
here,
to
but
say. Yeah. Even if you are, I mean, I think it's shameful. Yeah, so I do hope this film will help people change what they are like inside and help them educate their sons that they need to treat their wives in a different way. I pray that our society really works hard on this and that that it changes. I always I've felt most of my life that, oh God, but India is different. Oh God, but we're different. And as I've grown older, I realized, I was just living in a glass house because there's so much that's so difficult to
absolutely.
accept, and that makes one feel so sad. And there is only so much again. When I look at these kind of things, there's a certain helplessness that comes over me, and then
Absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
hopelessness. And then I've gone through the process, an inner process to say, okay, fine, I'm feeling hopeless and I'm feeling helpless. What can I do? I can't go there and shake the man up or, shake the mother-in-law up. All I can do is pray.
Yeah.
And that for me has been a very great anchor. The
No,
fact that I can sit and pray.
I've been telling anybody who listened to me to see this movie. I've been telling
Yes,
young children in my family,
yes, yes,
males and young ladies in my family to see this children. I got a call
yes,
from England from a friend of my son who lives
yes,
there and who used to often visit our house when they were all younger. And
yes,
I recall an instance where one of my boys was rather rude to one of his friends from school, a girl from school, and I had said, "Oh, young man, you will apologize right now,
yes.
and
Very
you will
good.
henceforth not be disrespectful to any girl in your life." So
Yes.
this friend remembered that from something like 15 years ago, and he rang me
Wow.
up from England and he says, "Uncle, I saw Thappad today. And I remembered 15 years ago what you had said, and I now know why you must have really enjoyed making of this movie." You
Very
know,
good.
and that to me, and that to the makers of the movie, is the little victory.
Yes.
That
Yes.
I sort of share it, even though I was a sort of a fringe part of this movie. I share in its
I love it. And that is the
victory. Yeah,
hope that I'm talking about. This is the kind of hope that I'm talking about in all
absolutely,
situations.
absolutely,
I feel that there's always that little spark, that little thing that can bring light into any situation and create a small change and then a little bigger change and a little bigger change into
yeah,
something that's positive and onward leading. Okay, so now
absolutely.
talking about hope, what is hope for you?
Oh, hope for me is the ability to cope with situations where I can put to practice my intelligence, my education, my experiences, to
Yes,
make things better for not only for me but even my circumstance and my environment, and for people who are affected by my presence, by my work, or by my people who work with me in the office, people who serve me at home but are dependent on me for their livelihood.
yes,
Whatever I affect, because we live in an interconnected sort of a universe, and
yes.
I've always felt that, I mean, what are the odds that a guy like me, born in a village in Haryana, in some corner of some small haveli, is sitting in an interview with one of the divas of of the model world and doing it. So I believe very strongly in the interconnectedness of people, and for me, hope means that I am able to play my part in this domino effect in the universe to make things better for people and circumstances better for other people, or even the environment around me. That for me is hope. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautifully said. Love, what is love for you?
Love for me is transparency of intent
Wow.
and transparency well, mostly intent. And love for me doesn't only mean cuddly wuddly and
Yes,
sort of it's a much larger sort of space than just physicalities of love, or even the whatchamacallit, the responsibilities of love, the
yes,
responsibilities of a parent loving a child, or the responsibilities of the child loving the parent. Uh, Love goes way beyond that. Love goes into complete transparency of intent. For me, that's very important. And that's what I feel makes people more human. And when you
yes,
have this transparency of intent, then if you have the grit to follow it, that leads to integrity. I used to think integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is watching. Uh,
yes,
but that has got redefined in the last few days for me. And it is the transparency of intent leading to what I like to call love, which is it's not selflessness, it's not selfishness, it's all encompassing. And anything you do, and sometimes even if it makes you feel sad,
Yes.
sometimes you have to be strict with things that might, at that point, make the target of your strictness feel bad.
Yes.
But
Yes.
eventually, like my dog, I mean, he gets scolded and he sulks around in the corner and stuff like that. But he knows that eventually it's good for him that he doesn't eat stuff from the street, it's whatever is worth. So love for me is all of that.
Yes.
All of that. Tolerance, that's love.
Yes.
Lack of imbalanced judgment, that's love. I mean, we will always judge people. We will always judge circumstances. That's part of the human nature. But making it reasonable and making it making it with transparency, that is love. All sorts of things. Everything is
beautifully
love.
said. Anything else, any last minute, anything else you'd like to tell our audience before we say goodbye?
No,
or
just be happy. No, I just want to compliment you. I mean, I told you the other day as well, and I'm telling you that again. It's remarkable how you can just look so calm and so happy and content, and you obviously go through a lot of self-exercise and self-discipline things, and I hope I can do that, because times like these, circumstances like these, tend to sometimes sort of press you down in a way. And my message, I mean, I don't really have a message to people. I can only share my experience, and my experience is simple. If they don't give it to you, then create your own space.
Absolutely. So basically, Sushil, I'm so grateful to be doing Cope with Hope. I just love people. I just love people. And I love listening to them. And my deepest, deepest, deepest prayer is that everybody find their inner peace. So I'm doing something, sitting here in front of you, doing what I love best. You know, for me, this is the grace of God that I'm allowed to sit here and talk to people. I mean, I have to be happy. It's the most happy thing that I do. And if talking to people will make a difference into anyone's lives, then it's a life well lived.
Absolutely, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing me on, and I'm sure that this will have just the two of us talking here will have a domino effect amongst other people. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sushil.